that is going to have to be addressed.
Yep.
And we're going to have, it's going to require an entire process. Of calling them in and educating them and figuring out how to repair whatever rupture was caused by the anti-Blackness brought in by this non-Black person. And that to me is a huge risk for the peace and the comfort of enjoyment that I want to create for Black people in this space. Now, I have met non-Black people of color who have done the spiritual work of unlearning anti-Blackness, where they would not be a risk of introducing anti-Blackness to the space. And I think that that is wonderful and lovely. And I would love to figure out how to host them in Northern Vermont on a different trip. No, but for real, because like Maple and Melanin is just one opportunity for us to engage with the Northeast Kingdom of Vermont. I would love to host multiple opportunities and multiple offerings to engage with the Northeast Kingdom of Vermont. Like specifically, I think having Baked and Blessed in the NEK with Northeast Kingdom, Baked and Blessed in the NEK. I would love to help organize that and for it to be more inclusive of more identity, more racialized identities.
Okay.
Sounds fun to me.
Yeah, it
Yes, let's do
does.
it. Let's
Okay.
absolutely do it. But one thing that I don't want to risk is introducing the risk of harm of anti-Blackness being brought in by a non-Black person and all that is all of that's going to rip the ripple effect of that. Like it's not going to be just the one thing you said where everybody was like, oh, then it's like as the guide I have to address it, I have to call them in, we have to do a whole process. The person who was harmed needs to feel some kind of repair, the person who caused the harm needs to experience some kind of accountability. And that's not what I'm trying to do with Maple and Melanin. I'm trying to host people to play.
Mhm. You got it. You heard. Y'all, we back on here. I'm Lotta with the Bakersman Collective, and this is
D'Anthony
Whitney
goes. That's
Skillet.
Brandon. Oh,
hold
and
on.
D'Anthony goes. Whitney
Okay.
and D'Anthony goes.
Here
The
we
best
go.
friend ambassador. So, is the link
Exactly.
that we posted still working, or do we need to post this one?
Um, I think we're gonna have
Can
to
I see
post
it?
this one now, probably.
Okay.
I was also told that folks are getting kicked off our YouTube. So if you're tuning in with
What?
us, yeah, exactly. I was like, that doesn't quite make any sense. I got one positive report of it functioning and a few negatives, and I feel like we have now lost the folks that was tuning in with us on YouTube. And you know what? Technology, technology, technology.
Sometimes it's not our friend.
It
It,
sometimes
it
it is
isn't.
not, and I'm not quite sure what's going on in the world today. Maybe my caption was a little bit too forward. Maybe they didn't want this conversation to get out, or maybe it's just bad technology. You never know. But this will be recorded and available on Instagram and YouTube and Twitch um, for at least as long as I'm alive.
At least as long as those servers continue to exist.
Exactly, both of those. Um, anyway, more questions for you, Whitney. Talk to him.
Yes,
We've
we're
been
back.
tapped in about Maple and Melanin, and I want to know, how do you intentionally design the camp to? Well, you kind of shared that how you're intentionally designing it to center rest, healing, and joy. Is it through the excursions?
Is it is through the excursions, but also it's just through the gentle, easeful itinerary.
Mm,
So there's only two major excursions that are taking us more than 30 minutes away from the campsite.
mm-hmm.
One of those is the hike to Moss Glen Falls, which is this awesome waterfall that has a really short trail to access it. That has shallow pools that you can swim in. It's really cool. And that's about a 45 minute drive away from the campsite. And the other longer field trip is to the Great Vermont Corn Maze. And that is a full day hike. It's beautiful, it's strenuous, it's definitely for the people who like to be active and like to be outside. But those are the two like long day kind of excursions that we're having. And Moss Glen Falls is only like a half day, to be honest.
Mm.
But other than that, we're really staying close to town. We're going to be on the campsite, enjoying the lake, enjoying the boat. We'll have performance pontoon boat for people. So that's a pontoon boat that has a high powered motor, has 115 horsepower motor. And for boat people know what that means. But if you're not a boat person, what that means is that this pontoon boat is strong enough to pull people. So we can pull people to do tubing. Tubing is the most easy, accessible water sport for people who've never done it before. Even if you can't swim, you can tube because you can wear a life jacket and you can stay on top of the tube the whole time. I'm also an expert boat driver, so I can make sure you don't fall off. And if you're interested, the boat is also strong enough to pull people on a knee board and maybe, depending on your weight, possibly get you up on some skis. And I'm down to help people do that. But also because it's a pontoon boat, it has like a flat, really accessible area for the guests, for the riders, and it can hold like 10 or 12 people. So we can also just like party cruise. That's what during the Maple and Melanin pilot we did this summer with just my friends. We were just party cruising around the lake. Like we just got on the boat and we're just cruising. Every once in a while we shut off the engine and just float, watch the sailboats, swim.
Yeah, look at the sky.
Yeah, look at the sky. In addition to the pontoon boat, we also have paddle boards and kayaks and a tandem kayak, a 2-person kayak. So you could take those out on the water, also go swimming, and all of the stuff on land, like yard games, table games, anything inside that is quiet and unplugged. So we'll have like coloring books, puzzles, cards, games. We'll do some facilitated activities, maybe some meditations. But basically, the way I like to think about this is a simple way to think about it is like I'm creating like a Montessori menu of a camp experience where I don't know if you guys know about the Montessori curriculum. Basically, they set up the classroom with all the ways for kids to engage at their own discretion according to what they feel called to. And that's how I'm setting up Maple and Melanin. And I'm inviting everyone to choose whatever feels most easeful to you, whatever feels most joyful to you, whatever feels most beautiful to you. And I'm there to facilitate that. And we have, some containers for things because of timing and nutrition. So we'll have to have breakfast in the morning and a midday meal and an evening meal. At night, looking at the stars. People who live in rural areas are probably going to be like, yes, I've seen stars like this, but I expect several people from cities that have a lot of light pollution to experience stars like this for the very first time. And it's amazing. It really does look like a snow globe of stars. There's so many. It's so dark that you can see the Milky Way. The first time I saw it, I was just like, what is that cloud way, way up there? And I was like, wait, that's not a cloud. That's the Milky Way.
You mean the stuff I read in textbooks? What?
Yeah, you can see it with your naked eye.
Wow. Have you been to Arizona before?
I haven't been to Arizona.
See, me and my best friend went to Tucson, and to us, that's how the sky looks out there because it's really, really dark. And we went to a planetarium before it got dark, and it looked like we were still at the planetarium. It's crazy seeing the stars like that.
It is.
Right, the Milky Way is like right there. Yeah.
It's magical. And sometimes you can see some shooting stars. Don't confuse it for a satellite because Starlink is out there just
throwing.
But you can see shooting stars and watch Starlink satellites move around. It's amazing. The town that we're in literally does not have a stoplight. There's one stop sign. And at the stop sign is the general store. So we'll take a visit to the general store. All of the food that we're eating is going to be sourced locally from either that town, local farms, or from that region. Almost all of it. We'll have some packaged snacks and stuff, but almost all the fresh produce, fruits, veggies, and even meats, like the farm fresh meats. If you are not a vegetarian, you are really going to enjoy the experience of the protein at Maple and Melanin because the beef, the chickens, and the cows are about to come from the farm, like right down the road. And there is a difference. There is a difference between farm fresh protein, especially organically raised protein that's not raised with all these chemicals and steroids and all this stuff. It's just the cows in the pasture. You can see the cows in the pasture. Big, beautiful green pastures. It is true that happy cows make better meat and better cheese because the beef and the cheese in this region is chef's kiss. Like,
you and with chef's kiss, is there going to be a chef to cook these fabulous
yes, we do have a chef. And she's from the South, and she's Black, and she's a woman.
With the freshest ingredients possible. What are we on, Top Chef?
Yes, it's gonna be good. And the menu is gonna be influenced by the campers. We have our very first pre-camp meeting with the registered campers on the 24th of this month, so like next Saturday. And then we're gonna start designing the menu around their preferences, allergens, things like that. There obviously is like I have a standard camp menu of things that I eat almost every time I go to camp in the summer that are mainly based on what's available and what's easy, because ease is the theme of camp. But we're willing, since we have a chef, we can pretty much do whatever the campers need. So that's why it's important to register early, because after April 30th, we'll close registration. All monies have to be paid. And then the very last camp prep meeting will be at the end of June. So that'll be the last chance to get your preferences in, the last chance to have any influence on the menu and the itinerary. I want this is very much going to be a co-created experience by myself, my team, and the campers themselves.
Okay, we love to hear it. I appreciate the effort that you have gone into to think about us in the light of our current times, right? Because I think people are more stressed than ever, and it's like the second week. You know what I mean? It's the second week
only.
So having this to maybe be the thing that they invest in, and look forward to, or hold out the hope for this, not just this, but like getting there to have this experience, to have this learning, could hopefully lift some of the well, how do you describe the feeling of now, right? Like, what's the word?
Despair.
Melancholy. That exists now, having something like this with so much love, so much attention, to look forward to. I really hope that y'all show up and participate. You know what I mean? Be a part of this. So thank you once again. And a question. What are your thoughts on the current state of Vermont's cannabis industry, particularly regarding equity and access? We can just.
So Vermont is doing pretty well, I think. I'm not super involved in the politics. I could probably be involved much more deeper than I am, but it's the whole region has very few Black people compared to other parts of the country. And so the conversations around like equity, when you think about it from like a business development standpoint and an economic standpoint, a lot of that involves like attracting those kinds of non-white business owners to the region to make the business more diverse, because there's so few of them. But that aside, just for the moment, just to answer this question about how they're doing with the Black people that are there, I know that there are a lot of community-based and government-initiated projects going on to help Black business owners, specifically in the cannabis industry, get what they need and be able to thrive. It is, I think in the last conversation we had, I said I know about one Black-owned dispensary in Vermont, and it's actually really close to where I live. And I'd be happy for us to take a field trip there. It's a little bit far from the campsite, but anyways, we can talk about that in the pre-camp meetings with people who register. But there is one Black-owned dispensary that I shop at that, how do I describe it? Not everybody in his dispensary is Black, and that's okay. I mean, obviously the owner is Black, but the people who work there are very diverse. But I don't see a lot of Black people working there, and it doesn't surprise me because there's just not a lot of Black people in the region. And so it's a really interesting environment when it comes to diversity and even like liberation movements, because of this low population of Black people, and how when you have a low population of Black people, they're doing all kinds of jobs. And so even having one Black-owned dispensary in our region kind of feels like a huge win when you think that we make up like less than 3% of the population. Because the other Black people are teachers and nurses and doctors and administrators, And it's just like once you, especially because like so many of the Black people in this region know each other or we're somehow connected through various social networks, and you're just like, oh, that person does that job, and that person does that job, and that person does that job. It's just like, oh, and this person owns the dispensary. It's the community of Black people is that small. And I just say all that to say is like the opportunities that I've seen for Black business owners in Vermont specifically seem better than New Hampshire, and that's why I give them props. But Vermont is just a little bit more left leaning than New Hampshire. From what I understand about the people who live and specifically vote there, a lot of them have done a lot more work in their unlearning than the live for your die state, heavy on the die. That rugged individualism is gonna kill us all for real. So all of that to say is Vermont as a society in general is a little bit more left leaning, a little bit more community focused, a little bit more into collectivist and socialist politics and policies, which honestly is more liberatory for everyone and benefits Black people.
Got you. Thank you for sharing your thoughts on that. It's something that I care about wherever I'm at, so I hope and I love the friends that pay attention to those details and can share it with us because, I'm on the hunt to find some great weed everywhere I go.
Everywhere.
Yes. The great thing about Vermont, the whole region, is we got some good soil. Like, the geology of the soil is that it contains a lot of volcanic remnants from like ancient times, and therefore it's very fertile. Yeah. So we got some really good soil. So even stuff that's growing outdoor is pretty good. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, that's man. It's such a myth where they're like, "Oh, indoor is the best weed." I'm like, the best weed has love, care, and attention, and a person that really pays attention to what the plant does. Straight up, like they know the action to take to correct it because you're nurturing something, right? So like, and if it's your first time growing it, even if you're a master grower, you might still fuck it up because you don't know what that plant needs. But if it's your 20th time growing it, another growing cycle, and then you pay attention to the other things such as environment, what you're feeding it. Wow. It's always really good. So indoor, outdoor, whatever, that's what I look for. And I look for someone that cares about those things when they're trying to sell me weed. And let me tell you, lots of folks try to sell me weed.
I bet. They want you to put it on the podcast.
I mean, what? I manage a dispensary. That is literally my job. But now let's get into it. What's the most meaningful feedback or transformation you've witnessed at camp?
My perspective on accessibility to the water for people who are not super comfortable with the water. This camping experience is anchored on a lake where the accommodations are on a lake. Most of our time will be spent around the lake and on the land around the lake. And because this is an environment that I was raised in, I've realized that I have an innate and what sometimes other people think is a scary comfort with water, and that some people don't have that, and that's okay. And I think that in hosting Maple and Melanin is the first time that I'm hosting something that's public facing, but I've hosted a lot of friend groups and family groups at this place, and especially starting in 2015 when I finished my grad school program. But one of the things I've learned from hosting people who did not grow up as like native comfort with water, like just thrown into the lake and you're gonna learn how to swim because you're 3 and you can figure it out. People who didn't have that experience and are very comfortable with water actually are not as afraid of water or as uncomfortable with being around water if they know they're not going to die, and that there are ways to facilitate and make accessible enjoying the water for people who don't know how to swim, for people who do know how to swim and just don't like the water, for people who don't want to get their hair wet, for people who think the water is too cold. I think that one of the greatest transformations I've seen in the way that I approach hosting people at the lake is making the experience accessible for people who are not as water driven as I am. I'm definitely a water baby. I'm a Pisces. But for people who are not as water driven as I am, figuring out ways, and not even figuring out ways, seeing ways and understanding that there are ways to fully soak up the joy, ease, and excitement of being at the lake without being in the water the way that I'm in the water. Because I'm one of those people like, but yeah, there's lots of opportunities to be on top of the water that are just as fun and just as accessible. Also, the lake is really, really shallow at the shore. It's not one of those lakes that has like you walk out and then it just drops off.
Right.
Where we at the end of the dock that is at the end of Maple and Melanin HQ, at the end of the dock, the water barely comes under like my breast. Like it comes barely above my belly button. And that's like walking like 20 steps from the shore into the water. So the water on our side of the lake is really, really shallow. The water on all shores of the lake is super, super shallow. It's also super, super clear. So it's something else that I've learned over time is this lake is actually an ideal place for people to have their first experience with natural, still body of water. Like if you're a kind of person who is just like, lakes scare me. I don't know what's in there. I can't see. This lake will solve that problem for you because it is crystal clear and you can see the bottom even when it's like 15 feet deep. It's also very shallow at the edges. So you can like get deep. You can get really far away from the shore and still be able to reach. So it's a very accessible environment for people who are just kind of like warming up to their comfort with water. Also, there's a lot of things to do that are not on the water, like laying in the hammock and sitting by the fire and watching the hummingbird and watching the loons. I think one of my favorite things to do, and this is just how you know I'm a nature nerd, is I'll literally just sit on the dock and watch the loons all day. Like me and my book and the loons
and the birds.
I can lose track of time. Yeah, loons is a type of
You gotta tell them.
I can lose track of time. And that's what I want for people. Like I literally want people to experience losing track of time, doing something that is just rest. That
it's
is
made
just
up.
fun. That is just joy. And whatever that looks like for you in this environment, I want to facilitate.
Absolutely. Time is made up, and the only reason why we keep it is so we can participate in capitalism and the society there. Because there's only one clock for Mother Nature, and that's the sun.
That's right. And if you spend your day and you have breakfast, and then you have no idea what time it is between breakfast and dinner because you were doing whatever you wanted to do, that is the experience I want you to have.
Yeah. You can also find out when it's midday. It's when the sun is at its like highest point. It's like at its hottest also, depending on your location. And that is the time typically lunch is taken. As if you are working outside. And that's coming from island culture, farmers in the background, like, yeah, it's getting too hot to be out in this sun. I'm gonna go take a little nappy nap. And when it cooled down a little bit, I'm gonna go back out there and get the rest of the work done before it disappears. So to sync yourself with Mother Nature, it's like the I guess highest level of internal reset that you can have as a animal.
Yes. Part of the rhythms in the Northeast Kingdom, because we're so far in the Northern Hemisphere, is that the mornings and the evenings are pretty chilly. So I'm encouraging all campers to make sure you bring like a full sweatsuit. Bring your hoodie, but also bring the matching track pants to go with it. Because the mornings and the evenings are going to be chilly. Like it might be 55 degrees when you wake up. But the afternoons are like the most glorious time of the day. And since we're not going to be working, that is the best time to be in the lake. It's the warmest outside. The water has warmed up as much as it can for the day. Also, since Maple and Melanin is taking place in August on purpose, because the lake will be at its warmest point in the year. The lake is going to be frozen until probably the end of March. Then it's going to be icy cold until the end of May. And then it'll spend June and July getting warm so that by the time August 16th rolls around and Maple and Melanin campers show up, the lake is going to be at its warmest point for the whole year. It's going to be delicious. So midday is going to be a really good time for us to be in the water because it'll be the warmest part of the day. The water's going to be at its optimal temperature. It's perfect.
Every detail has been thought about. Okay. So all you need to do is think, how are you gonna pay for it?
Get there.
Yeah, how are you gonna pay for it, including your travel? And
the good
that's
thing is that the price is all inclusive outside of your airfare. So once you land at wherever you're going to land to get there, your ground transportation, your lodging, and your meals, and all of our excursions and activities, plus snacks and beverages to a certain point for alcohol, are included. And so the only thing you have to worry about is your flight getting there, paying for the Maple and Melon registration fee, which will include everything you need for 4 nights and 5 days, and then whatever souvenirs you might want to buy from the general store. They have like a little gift shop that has like branded hoodies and t-shirts and socks and stuff like that. We can get you a pair of darn tough socks. I don't look it up. We're coming to Vermont. We're coming to the home of darn tough socks. You got to get you a pair while you're there.
She's selling it for the state.
Okay.
I would also say plan an extra $100 outside of that or any of those things, because emergency money. You never know who you got to bribe to get out of where you got to go.
Okay. And weed money.
All of the above.
Oh, yeah, weed money. Yeah.
Right. So we have cautioned you, given you the roadmap, told you what you could experience. I guess Whitney, what else can you lay out for them? If you had to scramble and look at one other thing that you'd have to share to someone who's going to book tomorrow, because there's only 8 spots left.
Yeah.
8.
What's coming up for me right now is how like sometimes it feels like I'm living in multiple, like I can see myself living through multiple timelines at once. And the 2 main ones that stress me out the most are the timeline of this moment of polycrisis we're going through. Black Feminist Futures held a podcast talking about like we're in the period of the interregnum. So go Google that if you don't know what that means. But we're in this moment where it feels like the world is ending. Like that, like there's this whole timeline of doom and war and destruction and death that I can see so clearly. But then there's this other timeline of like, I would say like my human timeline where like I wake up and, I want to drink water and I need to eat and I need to take care of my dog. And, I'm trying to figure out how to make money and pay bills and go out to dinner with my friends and figure out how I can get to the beach. And it feels like just there's like this my typical life timeline that is still existing inside of this other destructive timeline. And I think that it's very important that we maintain a balance between not existing in the destructive death timeline. Like I don't want to live in the death timeline, and I don't want the death timeline to influence my human timeline, like my timeline that needs care and connection and love. And I think that one of the strongest things we can do for ourselves is to make sure that we take care of that timeline right now. Like the other time when our influence is very limited influence over that timeline. But if we can keep our humanness, if we can maintain our humanity through these crises and get out on the other side so that we can build a better future, it's going to serve all of us better. It's going to actually lead to our liberation. And so I think that it's important for us to maintain our human timeline of needing care and connection and rest and ease and joy, and that it's worth it to invest in that for ourselves. It's worth it to spend the money and get on a flight and come connect with some Black people you've never met and have some lake time that you deserve to preserve your humanness, because we are literally in a parallel timeline of death and destruction.
Wow. Just had to. And I just wanted to also define interregnum, because I'm adding that to my vocabulary. A period when normal government is suspended, especially between successive reigns or regimes. If that ain't this, you know what I mean? And the worst part, at least in my timeline, is to like look and see other folks live in the same timeline in another country, and it's going differently. Like they overthrowing their, we on the interwebs. And they always listening, but they active over there, and I am scared that while trying to maintain my humanity and caring for self, we don't actually get ready to be active.
Yeah, we got to do both. You got to study and build community and prepare and take care of yourself.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
maple and melanin for you right there, right? Because
Yep.
you're hiking, you're by the water, you're learning things that maybe you've never learned before. Maybe you're unlearning things that you gotta unlearn. That is part of that readiness.
And you're connecting with aligned Black people. You're finding
Networking.
community, possibly from folks from different parts of the world. Right now, the folks that we have that are registered and have paid deposits are coming from New York, Washington, D.C., and North Carolina.
Oh, already.
That's
Love to hear it. D'Anthony, you want to ask any questions?
like the last one.
Yeah, buddy. You
Oh.
want to
Where do you see Maple and Melanin growing next? More retreats, deeper policy work, or something else?
Starting, if we just look forward to 2027, I definitely see another retreat. I truly see, so I recently went on a retreat in St. Croix that was so beautiful and so radical. And I think that I honestly, Maple and Melanin, especially for Black people, I see it actually turning more into a practice field and a study field where we are resting, but also turning keeping our bodies squarely facing liberation. I think that right now I'm just trying to get Black people there. I really want to I think that this first experience is to help me unlock the magic in a more public facing way. And then once that is unlocked, I think that I honestly not necessarily make it more narrow, but really use it as a potential site of transformation for people in the movement, various people in and around the movement. But I myself, as like a guide who likes to bring people together, especially in natural environments, I definitely see myself growing other opportunities and offerings to bring people into nature around some kind of focused theme. But yeah, for Maple and Melanin for next year, I just want to keep it super Black, keep it revolutionary, keep it as a space for us to retreat and study and prepare and practice the world that we want to live in. Like I said, I feel a little bit gypped that the world we know is possible today, and we have chosen the absolute opposite alternative. And so I want to live in a world where we're practicing that. I want to be practicing the world that we want to live in with people who also want to be practicing the world we want to live in, because practice is going to build that world.
Yeah. Oof, a bar. My goodness, y'all. Thank you for tapping into Sesh Sundaze and navigating the hurdles with us as we continue to grow, But one thing is that we will always be focused at here at Sesh Sundaze is connecting with real community members doing the work out there, right? So look forward to more of that in 2026. And if you're trying to see us in Vermont, you better go ahead and book. Where can they book, Whitney?
Mapleandmelanin.com. Click on camp registration.
All right. So easy. All right. D'Anthony, any last words for folks?
Smoke some good weed and stay banked.
Oh, hell yeah. Shout out to those out there in YouTube. Thank you for naming this and feeling and time and space. You know what I'm saying? Yes. My gosh.
I hope to see you there.